The first group of auditors for cybersecurity maturity model certification should finish training by the end of the month. About 300,000 companies that make up the defense industrial base will have to comply with CMMC eventually. Katie Arrington's the Chief Information Security Officer for Acquisition at the Department of Defense. Katie, welcome back. Thanks for coming on the program. What will these auditors do once they've graduated from this program and go out into the field? How soon will you be able to get them out there?
So we want to get them out as soon as possible. When we came out with the original schedule in 2019, we had them graduating in July. We had a little bit of a pause or a reprogramming when we had to get it all in a virtual environment. So we're tracking to have them out at the end of the month. We had the first class go through, the 25 provisional. We're working through getting their actual licenses so they can go out and start doing audits.
How big will the second cohort be? When will the second cohort start? Because with the volume that you have, I'm sure 25 isn't enough.
No, it was really a provisional class. We wanted to make sure that the curriculum, the assessment guides, the actual test at the end, like we had to get some people through it to see where we needed to tweak it and fix it. So the next cohorts, I believe, are 50. I will double check with the AB, and they will be bringing that on every few weeks. We'll start a new session.
What does the overall kind of refresh look like? First 25 go out. How long will they be on site? How soon will they be able to start another one? And at what point do you expect to say, okay, we've got as many auditors as we need right now?
It'll be a few years. I mean, this is going to become an enduring capability. So like anything, it takes time to build up capability. So it'll take us a few years to get as many certified auditors in the environment. But you know, this, as I've said from the very beginning, this is a 5-year process. So we had the number of auditors that were graduating equal to the number of contractors that needed certification. So we know we have scalability, but we also understand that when you had a baseline of training, a baseline of understanding the adjudication baselines for that, test and curriculum that validated that we could go out and start training on the masses.
How many of these auditors do you think you'll need eventually?
It depends. I am in the mind that, you know, we have 300,000 companies that need to start with the start, right? And then you look at where the CMMC has the potential to go throughout the whole of federal government. That is a huge lift. So, you know, thousands in the end game, but, you know, I can't foresee that far in the future. I would say for the DoD component piece, we easily need a few thousand of the auditors.
You mentioned tweaks and fixes, and I wonder what you've learned from this first group of 25 that you will go back when the 50 come through, or when you scale this further, what you will do differently the second, third, fourth time through for these auditors.
Lessons learned. You know, we learned a tremendous amount through the DCMA DIBCAC audits. They were essential in helping us, you know, create the ground that with the foundation that we're built on. Learning every day things that could be improved and things that are really working. I would say the standardization of the curriculum is phenomenal. That the assessment guides, phenomenal. How you actually evaluate at the end of the course, we learned a few different things. You know, automated testing. How do you make it so that the answers are really understood by the auditor coming through the exam? So, you know, there's a lot of goodness to be had.
How will you measure on the back end when you have these 25 or the 50 that will be in the next group or whatever? How would you go and look at what they did in the field to make sure that you're testing to what they actually have to do when they're out in the field?
Well, as we've stated from the beginning, we need collaboration from industry. So what we're going to be doing, DCMA will always maintain the right to go and audit the auditors, right? The C3PAOs. So we're going to start that right away to come back and have them look and make sure that, you know, what the auditor has seen and validated is consistent with what we think that just for continuity's sake, as we roll this out, it's always been about collaboration, that we can solve this problem together, and that we'll get good together.
What else should a company know when the company knows somebody's coming to audit them? Now that these groups are complete, that you have 25 people that are going out there, what can a company expect to see when this person shows up?
Well, initially they should get a pre-question interview, right? The pre-audit interview questions, which will be mapping, your capability to what you think. If you don't have a cybersecurity, I would say network engineers, the IT side of the house, have those people ready and available to have conversations. And in smaller businesses, we understand they don't have that. That may be the CEO, that may be, the HR manager, but to have those people available to have conversation and be transparent with them. I mean, that's their job. They're coming in as a trusted agent of the government to go in and provide the audit. So comfortable with them. They are not there to put you out of business. Our whole goal is to make sure that you're secure as possible so that you're an enduring capability that we can rely upon.
Katie, one of the issues that companies have talked about is reciprocity, and that's where I want to pick up when we come back. My conversation with Katie Arrington continues in just a moment. Welcome back. Reciprocity guidelines for cybersecurity maturity model certification are still in the works. Companies will get some credit for progress they've made in programs like the Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program. I'm back with Katie Arrington, the Chief Information Security Officer for Acquisition at DoD. What do we know about reciprocity for companies that have been through the FedRAMP process, Katie, who are basically saying, we're already doing a lot of the things we know you're going to make us do?
So when we did the Pathfinders, we've had a couple of companies that were using CSPs to supplement their capability to get to what the maturity level they desired. So we have been in discussion of how we can match that to capability. So the Pathfinders have been a huge piece of finding that piece to the puzzle. I think we're pretty close with the FedRAMP moderate and FedRAMP high, how they align to the model, and the legal function of reciprocity lies with the AB to the C3PAOs. So they're working that out now as we have the first batch of, auditors that have gone through the training. That legal agreement, because it's all an assumption of risk, is being worked out right now. But reciprocity is absolutely the first word of the day. FedRAMP reciprocity, DIBCAC reciprocity, ISO 27001 reciprocity. We are all in. We don't want to duplicate good work.
And so to that point, do you see a day when when an auditor shows up, sees those certifications and can say, okay, you're good, or the auditor doesn't even have to come because that company can submit those certifications to the department and that works just fine?
No, the auditor will always have to make an official visit to the company. Part of the value add of CMMC, that it buys down more than ensuring that companies have the critical thinking around cybersecurity and the capability to the work that they're equal to. It buys down substantially the risk of foreign ownership in our supply chain and shell companies. That if somebody has a shell company, they're going to have to go through an awful lot of work to prove that they're actually in existence for the auditor to show up. So it has a multi-purpose to it. Remember that it wasn't just about cyber. This is about getting security and cybersecurity as critical thinking through a company.
All of this becomes codified when it's in the DFARS officially. What's the update on that?
So the OIRA has finished the interagency communications. It is through the process, so it will be posted on the Federal Register very soon. It's a matter of just getting through the process. Then it will open up the public comment period. And then at the end of the public comment period, the rule will go into effect. People have asked, oh, we haven't seen the rule. The rule is very clearly that the work over the course of 5 years, the CMMC needs to be implemented in all DoD contracts. So it's fairly cut and dry, but it's going out there now, in the coming days. So I think it's already posted on the OIRA site.
Some concern about whether it's an interim rule or a proposed rule. Does that matter in your view? Should that matter to the companies that have to deal with this?
Well, I hear and appreciate what they're saying, but it's also much like the 889. That went and was an interim rule and then went into effect 60 days later. We've been saying very clearly what the model will look like, what the requirements will be, how it'll be rolled out onto contracts, the timeline, reciprocity with DIBCAC. We've been very clear on the entirety of it. So I guess I don't understand the discussion of if that matters. You've known since at least January what it is. And the public comment period will be the public comment period. That hasn't changed. And we have to adjudicate the comments from the public. So it's proposed versus interim. When it comes to national security and where we are, the faster, the better that we get this out there. The public has been engaged. I mean, business has been engaged. So I look forward to the adjudication process. As soon as it goes for public comment, I'm sure we'll be getting a great deal of those.
Some headlines in the last couple of weeks about some changes on the CMMC board. A couple of new board members joining, the former chairman Ty Schreiber leaving, and some questions around that. What did you see as this transition happened, Katie?
So what I would say to everyone, media, journalists, and the public, we owe a debt of gratitude. I mean, a literal debt of gratitude to everyone, past, current, and future, on the board. These are people who have been volunteering easily 60 hours a week since November of last year. Volunteering. They have day jobs. They have other things, family, work requirements. So I appreciate people want to make, fake news, right? And I'm going to say that. The mission and those people should be thanked. The people that recently left the board, they resigned, and they're good people. They did something. Think about that. These are people that stood up and said, we care so much about the mission that we're going to volunteer to help set up a nonprofit and get this functioning. And I find it disheartening and sad that anybody who would volunteer, people would want to rip apart regardless of why they have left. And there have been multiple reasons people have left the board. But I find it disheartening that volunteerism and working towards the mission, that people would take it and try and do something negative. That's absolutely not what this was about at all. The DoD supports the CMMC AB, all members, past, present, and future.
Katie Arrington, thanks very much for joining me.
Take care.